Hello everybody, my name is Emily and this is Flosstube number 5. I am the person behind Doodle and Strings YouTube. Thank you for joining me. Today is January, oh Lord, I don't even know what day, Saturday, January 30th. And it's been, I think, 3 weeks since my last video. I want to go ahead and say hello to all of the new subscribers that I've gotten in the last few weeks or so. Welcome to the channel. Thank you to everyone who took the time to comment on my videos. That really does help, and I love being able to respond and get to know everyone who is watching this kettle of weirdness. So thank you for doing that. If you would like to go ahead and subscribe, you can hit the button, hitting the bell for the notifications so you know when I make new videos, and liking this video. All of that stuff helps a lot when it comes to YouTube. So also commenting, like I said, just because it does help, but I really do like to talk to the people who are listening. So anyway, we're going to just jump right into it. The first thing, if I'm looking over here, it's because I have my notebook. It has all my notes on it. I'm trying to be a little more organized this time and not so scattery, so I wrote notes about everything that I'm going to talk about. So the first thing that I would like to share is just some Flosstubers that I have been watching. When I was getting back into cross stitch, one of the things I discovered when searching cross stitch was Flosstube, and there were a few YouTube or Flosstubers that I was watching. The first one is, I would like to just bring up Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Hello Olivia, I don't even know if you watch this, but she was the very first one that I found, and her stitching is gorgeous. She just finished the Anniversaries of the Heart. She did all of them on one big piece, and then she personalized each and every single one, and it's just this, now it's beautiful family heirloom and it's gorgeous. Watching her really started getting me into trying the samplers and stuff, and I have her to thank for kind of giving me the push to get back into it. The next one I'd like to say hi to is Kim from the Contented Stitcher. She did comment on one of my videos, so thank you for doing that. I've really enjoyed watching her. She is like the sweetest lady ever. She reminds me of my Aunt Kim, ironically, I know, but she does remind me of my Aunt Kim. Just a joyful, sweet, bubbly lady who just brings the joy of the Lord everywhere she goes. She's really fun because she has this, the way she does her framing and how, I don't even know how she gets so lucky, or where she finds these frames that she's able to just put together. And she will stitch her pieces to the frame, not try to frame to the piece, which is really interesting. And she seems to be really into like the historical patterns and stuff, which I've really been getting into. And then the last one, the last Flosstuber that I've been watching a lot lately is the Country Stitchers, which is Liv and Deb. They're just, I binge watch them because every time I watch their videos, I feel like I'm in their living room just hanging out and chatting with them and stitching. And it's just exactly what I need, especially with the times the way they are, to just be able to have that sense of, you know, family, community, that kind of thing. So thank you to them for making their videos. They're just wonderful and lovely, and I enjoy looking at all of their stitching and hearing all of their stories. So but for now, that's it. Life has been pretty good Nate came back from his Saskatoon trip early, which was pretty great. The company wanted to send him right back after 4 days of being home, and he was having none of it. There's been a lot of issues, so just pray for him. Let's see, I had my birthday, which was pretty great, and you're gonna see some of the stuff I got for my birthday. We kind of just hung out around the house. I mean, there's not much we could do anyway. Nathan and Evelyn, my daughter, made me a gluten-free chocolate cake, and it was really good, which is great. It's like the first birthday Nathan's made a cake, and there wasn't something wrong with it. He did great. I was so proud of him. Evelyn likes to think, like, she was saying that it was because she was doing it, of course. So, but it was wonderful. My kids are doing great. Evelyn started learning, she's been learning to read. She's in kindergarten. She's been learning to read. But in this last couple weeks, she's really just taken off with it. I mean, she will try to read anything she sees at this point. If we're driving, she'll try to sound out everything. Anytime there's a book, she's just really taken to a joy of reading, which, I mean, that's awesome. I couldn't ask for anything more that she would. I mean, reading is, you know, such a key ingredient into the love of learning, right? So my son Sam is about 18 months, and he's been pretty crazy, climbing on everything. I have a good Sammy story, and there'll probably be more of these the older he gets, because from what I can tell and what people have told me, toddler boys be nuts. Boys kind of be nuts growing up there. They have no impulse control, and I looked this up because I was curious. Apparently their prefrontal cortex doesn't develop as quickly as girls, and they don't really have good impulse control, so yay me. This last week, he's figured out zippers, and he wears the zipper footy. He used to wear the zipper footy pajamas, because he's not anymore. After this, he figured out how the zipper works, and I caught him. It always seems to happen when I go to the restroom. It's like they know. I don't tell them, I don't say anything, but it's like they know. So I went to the restroom. I come out. My son is naked, just nothing, bare bottomed in the house. His jammies are on the floor. The diaper is missing. I didn't know where the diaper was. My daughter was coloring and drawing, and she wasn't paying attention, so she didn't know where it was. So I go looking, and guess where the old diaper was? He had it in the Christmas tree, because my Christmas tree is still up, because I kind of like it right now. There's no ornaments on it. It's just kind of sitting there with the lights. He put his diaper in my Christmas tree. Thankfully, there was no poop on it, but it was soiled, and it was in my tree. He was, yeah, decking the halls for sure. So yeah. Oh, the joys of parenting. It was one of those moments of just baffled, because it was high up there, so he had to really be trying to get that diaper in that tree. Yeah, it was one of those laugh a bit, a little bit shocked, but you have to chuckle because, you know, it's a baby diaper in my tree. So that's life right now. Nothing really big that I can share yet coming in the way of things. I will say that I have been kind of dabbling in designing cross-stitch patterns a little bit, and I did finish one, and when I get it all ready to go, it will be a free pattern that I'm going to give to everyone. It's a Valentine's Day theme. It's kind of got some Quaker influence in there, so I think it'll be, I hope you like it, but it will be free, just as a gift from me to you for Valentine's Day. So hopefully I can get it kind of together in time. We'll see. If not, you know, it'll get together when it does. And it, yeah, like I said, it will be free. It's like 100 100 by 100 square, so it's not huge. It's pretty small, but and it's all one color, so it's red work. So anyway, that's going to be coming. Yeah, I think that's it. Why don't we get into the crafty bits? All right, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do knitting and crochet first, and then I will get into cross stitch because I don't have a lot of knitting and crochet to talk about. So first things first is knitting. I cast on a new project. I am using stash yarn, so don't get too mad. I am using my stash yarn. I'm trying to go through it. I cast on a knitting project because while Nathan was gone, I got to a point in one of my cross stitch pieces where I didn't want to keep going, and I have a reason that I can't share right now, but we'll kind of get more into that. And I was bored, and I didn't really have the supplies to get any more to do any more cross stitch, so I decided to cast on some knitting. And what this is what I have. It's an asymmetrical shawl, and it's called It's Yours Truly Summer by Michelle C. Meadows. You can find it on Ravelry, and it is free. It was a knit-along, mystery knit-along. The yarn that I'm using is called Sadness Garden. Swedish Nord, I don't know. I don't know. The colors are 607 and 752, so it's like a light blue and a dark blue, like a denim, like that two kinds of denim blues really. I had a different shawl in mind, but for this yarn, but when I went to go pull it up again, I don't know why, I just hated it. I hated the shape of it, and I didn't really want to deal with trying to figure out how to, because it was like a weird square, like a half square. I don't even know how to explain it. It was like sort of done like a triangle shawl, but it was a square. It was really weird, and when I looked at it, I did not like how it looked, and I didn't want to have to try to figure out how to make it into a triangle shawl, so I just found this free one. And this yarn is 100% alpaca. It's very soft. I love alpaca. Alpaca is my favorite. I don't mind the kind of halo it has. I just think it adds to it. So this first section is going to be a very, this really small striping, and then it's going to switch. It does several switches. It switches colors, and then it switches like texture. I think there's a little bit of cable in it. There's some eyelet. It just kind of switches different stitches. Which is nice. It keeps me interested. I've never done changing colors every 2 rows like this before. Sorry. It's supposed to be kind of like that. That's kind of the shape that it is. It's like that. But bigger, obviously. Yeah, I've never done it before, and it's really nice. It's just very chill. It's a very chill knit, which is great. It's going to be wonderful. I cannot wait for it to get finished. It's just kind of a great denim blue color. You know, everybody says everyone needs a good denim jacket. Well, you know what? I don't have one. A good denim shawl will work for me. So that's what we're doing. For knitting, that's really it. I haven't done a lot of knitting over the last couple weeks. I almost finished Nathan's sock until my son pulled my needles out of it, because he can get up on the table now, and he pulled all the needles out and ripped it back, and I just don't even want to look at it right now. I just can't. I was just so frustrated with that. He's so grabby, you guys. He's so grabby. Just touch, 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 touch everything. I can't leave anything out. I feel like I need to pad the walls and just gut my house to keep him from hurting himself. But from what I hear, that's boys. And I thought my daughter was crazy when she was little. Oh, foolish me. Hindsight, right? Oh, the boy moms who looked at me and probably laughed heartily inside, thinking, wow, how ignorant I was. I'm not saying that you cannot have girls that are crazy, because I've seen some, but to go from Evelyn and thinking she was wild to Sam, my daughter is the angel of all angels, the most perfect child ever. I have so much appreciation and love for that girl now after going through boy toddler. All right. So the next thing that we are going to do is crochet. Again, I haven't done a ton of crochet. That's my needle. Hook. So this is a project. There is no pattern for this. This is just me being me and making up stuff as I go. This is going to be a cocoon cardigan. So there was a one point last week where the heater broke and it was cold and I was grouchy because I was cold, and I went to go grab a sweater, and one of my favorite sweaters had a complete rip out the shoulder seam, which would normally be okay, but it had unraveled. So it, like, I don't know what happened in the wash, and I didn't notice it when I was folding, but I guess it had unraveled back, and it just looked like a dog chewed it up. I have dogs, I guess that's not out of the realm of possibility, but it just looked like maybe it snagged in the dryer or something. Somebody put jeans in the dryer when it shouldn't have. Me. So yeah, that's trashed, and it was one of my favorites and warm ones. So I sat there and I thought, you know what, I have yarn in my stash that I need to get through. I just need something that I can wear in the house that is super warm and cozy, that's basically like a blanket. And I have my gray crocheted sweater that I did a whole tutorial on this channel. The only thing about that is that it's a granny square one, so it is much looser and lacier. It's not quite as tight and warm. It looks really nice. It's fairly warm, but it's not, you know. So I pulled out some discontinued latte cakes I had, and here's the start. So basically for a cuckoo cardigan, what you're doing is you are making a square, and the square is half of your height, and I go ahead and add one just because I'm a little busty, so I just want that extra room. So my square is going to be about 34 by 34. And the patterning that's going on here, this is a self-striping yarn, so I'm not really switching, I'm not switching colors, it's just doing that on its own. But I'm doing 5 rows of half double crochet in between the stitches. So I know it's hard to see on latte cakes because it's fluffy, but I'm not going in the stitch, I'm going kind of between the stitches. I'm basically going over all 3 loops. So it kind of has like a mesh stitch looking thing happening. I got that technique from Daisy Farm Crafts because they've done a lot of blanket patterns using Bernat velvet, and that stuff can be really tricky to crochet with. So I kind of took that, and then so it's 5 rows of half double crochet between, and then 1 row of puff stitch, and it's coming, it looks really cute. I think you can kind of see the texture in here even though there's fluff, but you know, the puff stitch was just kind of to break up the monotony a bit for me, and it does add some texture, which is nice. This is gonna be super cozy and warm when I'm done. So you do the square, you fold it, it's hard to explain, kind of fold it in like this, right? and you sew a bit down to kind of make the sleeve. Do the same over here, and you have kind of your, I don't know if you can kind of tell, but here you can kind of see like a mini version. See how that's kind of a sleeve, and that's the body. So that's sort of the idea, and then you pick up around the sleeve to make a cuff, and then you go around the entire edge to make a collar, or however you want to do it. I am going to finish this, and I will be doing videos on this because I think it would be neat to do it in not a fluffy yarn. So having kind of a double option when I do the video, I can show like a self-stripe and fluffy yarn, basically that it can be done in either. But I think in my head, I think it's gonna look cool if I do, I was thinking like a cream, and then in the puff rows doing those in navy. I think that would look really smart and really nice. It would look really nice over clothes. So it would be baggy, like an oversized, but I still think it would look a little more dressy. So we'll see. If anything, I'll definitely do something that's just with more latte cakes and how to make like a big snuggly warm sweater. So anyway, that's gonna be cool. I think the collar I'm going to do, at least with the latte cakes, I'm gonna do like a mesh collar, make it really, you know, kind of so it can fold over, really loose, so that it can get extra warm and I can kind of pull it around. So that'll be fun to see how this turns out. I'm excited. It's so soft, you guys. If you want to learn more about Karen latte cakes, I do have a yarn review video on my channel. And I do plan on releasing more yarn review videos on my channel coming up. I don't want to just do cross stitch. I do love crochet a lot, and I do love yarn. So if you have any suggestions on yarns that you've been curious about that you would like me to review, I'm happy to. I have been knitting and crocheting for probably 11 years. Tried lots of different things, so I feel like I have some knowledge to offer. So let me know. Oh, the color is persimmon blue. It's discontinued. Don't even try to find it because it doesn't exist anymore. Because I'm cheap and I shop the sales. I shop the clearance bin. All right, on to cross stitch. So I have a partial finish, and I have an extremely good reason why I'm not going to finish it right now. I cannot tell you. I really can't. I want to. I am excited to, but I cannot tell anyone right now why I'm not finishing it. But I have a really good reason. And when I can share, I will share. So this is my sampler, one of my very first cross stitch projects ever. And look at that. I am so happy with this. This was so much fun. It's a Leisure Arts sampler from Special Sayings, the book Special Sayings. I lost the book that had the name of the actual designer on it, so I apologize. But if you look up Leisure Arts Special Sayings, it's the home sampler that's in there. So that's this. I had a lot of fun. I haven't done the recharting of the words yet because I don't want to. I was not in the mood. I need to do that though. I did do all the backstitch lettering here. I'm going to put God give us a house full of sunshine, yes, because I think in the original pattern it said something like wishing you a, and I was like, that's really weird, hallmarky coming from myself who be stitching this. So yeah, we're changing it. God give us. So it's kind of a declaration prayer over my home, you know, over my family, because, you know, I struggle a lot, I will be honest, when it comes to, like, I have an autoimmune disease, and I have good days, I have bad days, and one of the biggest things that it affects is my mood, and I will have major mood swings. Not in the sense of like the weepy to elation or anything. It's more if stuff's happening and it's really loud or chaotic, I can just get really frustrated and angry really fast. And I have to really watch myself and just take a minute to breathe. And a lot of times, it really only happens, like if I've eaten something with gluten, that is a big warning that I've eaten something with gluten because my moods are going crazy. Because it's usually like sign number one that something's wrong, and then I'll start with the other symptoms that happen that are not pleasant. And then those mood swings will actually last for a good week to 2 weeks, and it's really tough. It's really hard because it's really hard to explain. You can almost feel the offness that's not normal, like physically. Like my head feels hot. It's hard to explain, but it's really a struggle, and I really get down when that happens. I feel super guilty, and so then that of course leads to a whole bunch of other emotions. And I really liked this sampler because of what it said of, you know, God give us a house full of sunshine, hearts full of cheer, and love that grows deeper each day of the year. And to be able to see that hanging on my wall as a reminder of, you know, goals for the day, that, you know, I need God to show up and be there to fill our hearts with joy and cheer and to increase in love in every single day. That is my biggest ask every day. Because, you know, I can lose it. We all lose it. We all have our moments in the day. But God does promise that our cup overflows. And I want that cup to overflow with the joy and the cheer and the positivity from my kids. So this is super special. And I'm very proud. My favorite part is this little house. The only thing I'm not too thrilled about is the colors in these like flowers down here, the kind of pastel looking things going on. Had I been a little more confident in my stitching, I would have just swapped those out. But since this was kind of my first one, I didn't want to do too much changing. I did change the greens because it definitely had like a 1990s vibe going on with the blue, with the very blue green, which I do not like bluish greens. So I did change. These are more kind of a yellowy. I think it's like 305. 305-1 and 305-2, that little range of green, I believe is what I swapped out to. And then I also swapped out this other green to like the 520, 521, I think. So yeah, the second half will have to wait. And like I said, I have a very good reason why. So, but it will say the blackies. I think the next section's like the blackies and established something, or so that'll wait. This is stitched on 28 count Irish linen by Charles Craft in the color tea dyed. I got this at Michael's because with Canada's been really frustrating getting anything shipped in right now. So I got it at Michael's. I used a coupon, so it was very affordable. I think it's like $14.99 Canadian normally, and then you can use a 30% off. So it's actually really nice. I did start a project on like a 32 count, like a nicer linen, and you know, for what this cost, this is pretty nice. And the weave is, especially if you're just starting with linen, go get some of this because the weave is really open and it's very easy to see. So there's a YouTuber called Jan Hicks Creates, which is another one I've been watching. And one of her suggestions on learning to stitch on linen was to find a linen that had a more open weave, so you get used to like finding the 2/2, the 2 strands, because on Ada you do over 1 from like dot to dot, dot to dot, but on linen you're going over 2 different strands. You're going over 2 strands. So this was perfect. because it is a little bit of a looser weave. It does give it a more vintagey look, which I do like, especially for this style. It was great. It was exactly what I needed when I needed it. So, yeah, I would recommend giving it a try, especially as an affordable option. And also, you know, if you're doing like ornaments or something small, especially, pretty great. You can't really beat the price. I mean, and it's very soft. It feels really nice in my hands. It's very drapey. It's good, just good. So the next one I have was a birthday present from my husband. That man has more confidence in me than I do myself. Especially after you find out what he bought me. Which one is this? Okay, that's the way it goes. Alright, so I had mentioned interest in doing a full coverage. And a full coverage piece. And I looked at kits and I just, none of them were really speaking to me. And then I was watching some Flosstube and I saw, I think it was X Stitch MD, which is another one I've been watching. And she was doing a full coverage. I think it was Heaven and Earth. And I know Jan Hicks has done Heaven and Earth designs. So I went onto their website and looked, and that's just dangerous. Don't do that. It's very dangerous. And I went on there and I looked, and oh my goodness, the patterns they had were just phenomenal. And I showed Nathan and he was just like, whoa, those are big, those are really cool. And I had found one that I absolutely loved, and it's Heaven and Earth Designs, Once Upon a Fairy Tale, art by Amy Stewart. So I showed it, and it's basically, I'll probably put it up somewhere because I don't know how it's going to look on my phone. I could probably, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll just put it up somewhere so you can kind of see it. So it has like the watermark and everything as well. Basically, it's like a shelf, and it has a whole bunch of storybook classic literature characters like King Arthur and Guinevere, you know, a dragon. I seriously think that the ship on the bottom part is the Dawn Treader, and there's a mouse with a sword and stuff, and I hope it's Reaper Cheap because that'd be pretty cool. Just so much in there, and I loved it. And I thought, how fun would that be to stitch, because pretty much every page that's on there is a different picture, because it changes, and the colors don't stay the same, so it's not like just stitching a whole bunch of background, which I didn't want to do. It's almost like a full coverage sampler if you think of it that way, because you're going from like the first section, like what I've done so far, right here. So this whole, like this page that will go down here is like sky, there's an owl, there's part of an archway, it's kind of more dark blues. And then it kind of moves into more like craggly stone wall with like plants coming through and like stalks coming out of it, to like a beautiful maiden, you know. I know that there's like a Rapunzel in there. There's all kinds of stuff. It's just chock full of details and different images. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So this is what I have so far. I know it's not much. I'm having a hard time finding the time to even work on this, because I do notice that I need to focus a lot. And with being a mom of two small kids, it can be kind of hard to find that time. So I think I've done, how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 800 stitches, 700 stitches, something like that so far. I'm doing kind of a combo of cross country and parking. I noticed that when it comes to stitching this, if I don't go too far, if I stay within a few squares, that I have a lot easier time counting. I am marking the grid as I go with a friction pen, so it disappears with heat. And it seems to be working really well. I really do enjoy it. It's I'm doing tent stitch, 2 strands over 1 on 25 count Lugana. And I went with a tent stitch because in all reality, anything that will make this go faster is going to be better for me. So we're going with it. It was a little weird getting used to just that, but you know, I do go faster. It does go a lot faster. This little bit on the side was me testing out how I wanted to do it. So like the bottom section is 1 strand over 1 cross stitch, and then this top part is 2 strands over 1 tent stitch. And I actually liked the way, like the thickness of the tent stitch. And I tried 2 over 1 cross stitch and it was just too thick, really thick. So that's that. I'm hoping it's gonna take me probably most of my life to do this, I'm sure. I have kind of set a small goal for myself to at least do 100 stitches a day, if I can, so that there is at least a little bit. And I do notice that when I do that, I end up going way more. All right, sorry if everything looks a little different. My phone ran out of memory. I had to go take the chunks of video that I already recorded and then come back and redo it. So, back to the stitching. My next work in progress that I started, I went, again for my birthday, I went and I had some money and I really wanted to get a new pattern, but with the way that the Canadian Post has been going right now, it's insane. I just got a letter that was sent to me on December 8th, about 6 days ago. Oh, so it's bad. So in lieu of that, and not really wanting to wait that long to get a new pattern, I decided that I was going to find a PDF. And I really wanted to do another sampler since I kind of stopped on that last one. So this one is Hands Across the Seas, Thy Love Divine. And this is what I have so far. So this is done on 32 count vintage country mocha. I completely overhauled the colors because I did not like all of the pinks and reds that were going on. Yeah, I'm just not like a super pink and red, like a lot of it. There was a lot of it on the original. On the pattern was somebody else's version of the Thy Love Divine, and I kind of was going off of that one a little bit. Not quite 100%, but that was kind of the inspiration for my color choices. If you follow me on Instagram, which I do have an Instagram, which is @doodleandstrings, you'll see that the vines up here, I had originally done in a kind of bright yellow green, and it was awful. It looked terrible. I hated it. So I ripped pretty much the equivalent of, like, I think it was like that part of the corner. All of that had to come out, and I replaced it with 3012. So, or 11. One of those. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I am going to be changing some of the wording. It says, there's the little saying, the Thy Love Divine saying, and then below it says my Valentine. I'm not going to do my Valentine. I'm not sure how. I might do 1 over 1. I'm not sure, but I want it to have my name, my husband's name, and our wedding anniversary, which is February 15th. There's some heart motifs that go in this next section right below the alphabet. I'm going to not do those because I don't know, it just didn't look as good with kind of like all of this floral stuff going on. So I think I'm gonna do like 4-petal flower with like some bigger leaves going up and some smaller ones coming down. So I'll have to sit down and kind of map that out and see how that looks. So there's that. This needle minder was something I made myself for my birthday. I had a necklace that I had found at Goodwill that was really chunky, and it had these really pretty flower pendant things on it. And I had originally purchased it for junk journaling, but I found out that they were too heavy and clunky for what I was trying to do. So it had just been sitting in my craft room for the longest time. And I was, you know, from watching Flosstubers and looking around online, I saw that needle minders was a thing. So I decided to go to Home Depot and I bought these heavy-duty ceramic magnets and some E600 glue, and I made myself a needle minder. And I have about 4 more sets of magnets to use, and I'll probably just dig around and see what I have and see if I can make some more, because I think it looks really cute, especially with this little sampler. I think it looks cute, and they hold really well because that's not coming off. That's what you get for sending the husband in to go get magnets, and he comes out with the most heavy-duty magnet that they sold in that size. It's like, get it done, man. Good job. So my last new start is another PDF pattern that I got. I got this one off of Etsy. It is by 2x2 Stitch Art, and it's sampler number 14. I just called it the Castles one because it is the Castles one, and there's only the one Castles one. So there you go. This is what I have so far. So I'll probably put a picture somewhere on the screen. So basically it is 4 corners of a big square, and 2 of the corners, so this corner and then the diagonal corner, are 4 motifs, and then the other 2 corners are these really cool looking castles. So I really like this kind of cross stitching where it's kind of minimal colors, but you're doing all of this like intricate patterning and texture and all that kind of stuff. I really like it. So the original was done in all blue, and as you can see, I'm not doing all blue. I am, let's see, I think it's 3750 is the dark blue. DMC Diamond in like the, I don't really know where to find the color name, but it's basically the black gold. And then DMC 930, and then I have a DMC, thanks Mo, that's my dog. He's a big oaf. He's being noisy. And then I think I have DMC 3752 as an even lighter shade in case I want to do it. I haven't decided yet. So I like how it's coming so far. I'm stitching it on 18 count Aida because I don't know. I liked the rustic look it's giving, and I kind of was going for like a tapestry sort of old medieval thing going on here. And it's on 18 count Aida oatmeal, and it's just the Michaels brand because they had it in like a huge 29 by 30 something big piece. I know there is, I don't want to call it drama, there is preference in the cross stitch community that linen and even weave is far superior to Aida, and that Aida is basically the equivalent of trash, which I think is dumb. I believe that Aida absolutely has its place as well as all of the others. For this particular piece I am doing, I feel like the 18 count Aida on this oatmeal with this very rustic looking, you know, these flecks going through it is just absolutely perfect. And when it comes to these kind of intricate designs, it's so nice to not even have to have a second thought as to going 1/2 and am I starting on the vertical thread or the horizontal thread and all of this stuff. You just can just pick it up and you can go. And especially when you're doing stuff like this and you're trying to decide about changing color, it's really easy to rip out, and it's really nice to not have to really think about the fabric. You just go. This is 18 count. I'm just not a fan of 14, and plus it would have been really, really, really big. But the 18 count to me just seemed absolutely perfect. I liked the small stitches it was doing. It couldn't have asked for a better fabric for this particular pattern. So do I prefer Aida? Do I prefer linen? I like them both. It just depends on what I'm stitching. When it comes to a vintage sampler, probably the linen, just because of the historical part of it. But when it comes to kind of like these tapestry style or these motif styles like this, the 18 count Aida looks great. At least I think so. I don't know. You can comment below if you disagree or agree or whatever, but yeah, that's my opinion. And, you know, the ease of stitching on Aida makes sense. Now, when I say that, I was having an issue with my thread. I don't really have issues with my threads knotting up, but for some reason, and it's just the one color, it's that dark blue, and I don't know what the deal is. And I think it was just that skein of blue, because when I finished off that skein and started in another one, it was not doing that. But anyway, when I was dealing with the knotting, and then of course the diamond can be kind of rough to pull through, I went and bought myself some Thread Magic, which this stuff is amazing. It's thread conditioner, so it basically smooths out the threads and makes it easier to pull through. And this oatmeal can be kind of a little rougher because it's got all of that, loud, all of that flecky texture going on. So yeah, sorry if I'm slouching. I'm sitting cross-legged on the couch. Yeah, so Thread Magic. So if you are stitching with anything like Krynic or filament or anything that likes to fray or is really... Swiffer, do you mind? It's my other dog. Do you mind? Are you done? Thank you. Yeah, so if you're working on anything that's like filament, Krynic, the diamond stuff, or something that's going to be a little rougher pulling through and that frays really easily, Thread Magic basically smooths everything out and puts a nice silky coating on it, and it doesn't feel greasy or anything. I'm not really sure what it is. It almost feels like it could be like a silicone gel or something, but it conditions the thread so that it is a lot easier, here we go, to pull through your fabric. And when I was having issues with stuff knotting up, and it was mostly just up here at the start, I used the Thread Magic and no more knots. And if I even did get a knot, all I had to do was just kind of like tease it slightly with my fingers, and it just came undone. It just unraveled itself because it was so nice and slick. It doesn't feel greasy or chunky, like sometimes beeswax can have like that film over it and it gets kind of chunky. It just feels really soft. That's it. You know, so highly recommend. I'm really happy with how this is coming out. I like the contrast of the dark blues and the light blues, and then I didn't want to do too much gold so that it was too much. I'm excited about when I get to the castles, because there's a lot of like, in the castles there's a lot of details, like there's some like crosses on top of the turrets, there's some like little decorative tiny detailing, and I thought throwing a little bit of that darker gold in there would look really cool. So yeah, so that's it for my stitching. I did get some haul. I did get some patterns, but I'm not going to share those right now because they're PDFs, and I will probably just share it when I start it because it's just the one, and I'll probably start it at some point. So I did go ahead and get some, I wanted to try, I heard about sulky threads and I wanted to try it, so I went a little crazy and bought like 3 boxes because I liked all the colors. So I have, let's see, this one is the 6 Color Favorites Collection, Plays with Wool Designs. So there's that. There's like a pink, there's a black in there, there's that yellow. I don't like yellow, you guys, I really don't. And every box I bought had the same exact yellow color. I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. If you have an idea of what to do with 3 spools of this yellow, please tell me. I would, inquiring minds would like to know. This next one I got was the autumn set. And that's these. Autumn colors are my favorites. Some of my favorites. This next box will be all of my favorites pretty much. So this is the autumn. I'm really excited. This is what I'm probably going to use on the other pattern that I bought, is this. And then my final one I got was the Rosewood Manor Porch Welcomes collection. Now these are Emily colors for sure. Yes, the dusty greens, the dusty pinks. Yes, and then that awful yellow. Why? Didn't that need like an ecru? What if you put ecru in there instead? Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Sulky Company? It should have been an ecru or like a tan or a brown or something, but nope. Crazy yellow gold. If you have a good idea, I will accept the challenge and I will use it. I will. I don't want it to go to waste because it's probably just going to sit forever because I really don't like yellow that much. Unless it's like a really soft brownish yellow, I don't know. But anyway, so I got 3 boxes of this Sulky. I have a plan for that autumn set. So next time, hopefully, I don't even know if I'm going to start it because I got like 3 projects going right now, which I know a lot of you are going to laugh because only 3? For me, that's enough. And the castles one, I love it. I can't even hardly put it down. I just love it so much. I highly recommend trying that style. So 2x2 stitch or 2x2 stitch art. And then there's like a Lena cross stitch as well on Etsy. Both of them have several of those like mosaic motif styles, and oh my goodness, they're so pretty. I think Ink Circles is similar as well, but the pattern for me Canadian was like $3.50 because they were all half off right now. I'll put a link to the shop in there. I will say, I did forget to mention, there was an error in the pattern that was kind of annoying to deal with. So when I got to this section right here with this like lighter blue, each one of these points where it was connecting to the dark blue, so this is actually like a heart kind of thing going on right there. So right where it was connecting, right at the tip, every single one of those points was showing different stitches. Not like types of stitches, but different numbers. Like the count was all over the place. Some of them had spaces where they shouldn't. Some of them were like 5 instead of 4 or 6 instead of 3, and it was a mess. And I could not make sense of what was happening. So I just took some creative liberty and I ripped out a whole bunch of this. I picked this bottom one first and I kind of just decided what I thought it should look like, and then I'm going to just copy off of my stitching and go around. It works out fine because I'm really only changing 2 rows and I'm only changing the stitch count so that it's even all the way around. And that was the only error I saw. Everything else seemed to be perfectly fine in this motif and in the border and everything else, but for some reason where this little star was connecting to this heart motif was just a jumbled mess and none of them matched. So I fixed it. It's done. Just be warned. I don't know. I don't know. I might message the designer about that, but it wasn't too bad once I realized what was going on. It was pretty easy to just commit to the one way I was doing it and just going with it. So, yep. Well, that's it for me. I know this was kind of long. I had a lot of stitching to share. I will be back here in a couple weeks or so to do another video. Like I said, if you enjoyed this, please comment below. I love the engagement. Subscribe, like the video, turn on your notifications so that you know when the new videos come. And I will see you next time.